If you are looking for a happy video, I'm sorry to tell you, but this is not the one you seek. You see, this is the unfortunate read-along book tag. If you are looking for a happy video, I suggest opening up your browser, whatever browser that may be, and knowing you, it is probably Internet Explorer because you are just as unfortunate as I am. And if that is the case, I urge you to please turn off your computer, go to bed, and think about what you have done. Please exit out of this one, go into your browser, and search for happy kittens, bouncing bunnies, smiling octopi, or whatever happy thing you can possibly think of, because this video will be none of those things. It is my sad duty to inform you that the lives of the Baudelaire children are filled with a series of unfortunate events. My name is not Lemony Snicket. It's Sarah Cater, and you're watching Aliens, Clones, and Airships. If you like watching children being stalked and threatened and almost murdered, then I urge you, no, I implore you, to pick up this series, this 13-book series that we will be reading over the entire month of October, hosted by Cait and Jo, and I will leave their links in the description below. But I urge you to get in on this horrifying series. Now, without further ado, a phrase which here means shut up, Sarah, and get to the point. I will be, for a lack of better words, getting to the point. Question 1. Violet Baudelaire. What is a book or series that has brought something new? The Unwind dystology. This series brought a new perspective on the pro-life versus pro-choice debacle. It shows that there is no common ground between the two, and that you really cannot find a compromise. How do you compromise on whether or not you allow this fetus to live or die? How do you compromise on whether or not you allow a woman to have a choice with her body or not? There really isn't much of a compromise there, and that is why this debate is such a controversial one even to this day. It discusses what could be common ground that goes completely wrong, obviously, because when you take children and allow them to be born and then reach the age of 13, then abort them by having their organs harvested for people who need transplant, that is terrifying and wrong. This series takes that controversial topic and gives an interesting perspective on it and a reason why there really just isn't any common ground. Number 2. Sonny Butler. What is a book that left a lasting mark or bite on your life? The City of Ember series, because it really got me into the world of dystopian. I read the second book in school. For some reason they had us read it out of order, which makes no sense, but then I read the whole series and I absolutely loved it, and it really got me into the dystopian genre. Number 3. Klaus Baudelaire. What is a book that you just could not put down? There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins, a book that I just read this month. It is about a girl who starts seeing things happening to her classmates. They start being killed off, a lot like most teenage slashing books. But the reason I couldn't put this down was because it reminded me a lot of the TV show that MTV put on, Scream. It was really interesting. It was very similar to the TV show Scream, and it had its own little twist where this serial killer person liked to move things around in other people's houses and make them seem like they're going crazy and forgetting that they're moving objects themselves. And it takes something so small and so mundane that each of us do, where we forget that we've moved things, we've, forgotten that we left something open, and turned it into something absolutely terrifying. And I promise I'm going to give a review of that book sometime this month, so I won't go too much into it, but that is the book that I just could not put down. Number 4. Hello, hello, hello. I am your beloved Count Olaf. Count Olaf. What is a villain that you absolutely love to hate? The first one's Empyreal Illusions, the second one's Awakening the Fire. I absolutely love to hate the Patriarch because he is such an ass. Fights people and with a whip that's actually a chain and puts Brina into a coma where the rest of the series actually forms. It's a really interesting series in that we get to witness a fantasy world within the mind of a girl who's in a coma. That's really cool. But at the same time, this villain is so treacherous and he goes around hurting people, including children. And Breen is only like 14 years old. So I hate his guts. He's such an ass. Uncle Monty, what is a character death you just could not get over? I'm not going to spoil anything, so don't worry, but I'll be kind of vague. There was a tribute in the Hunger Games that died that absolutely broke my heart because I wasn't expecting it to happen that fast, and it was someone that Katniss got really close to, and before that point I wasn't a huge fan of Katniss's character, but after that I wanted Katniss to kick ass because I needed that character to have some semblance of justice. It still angers me to this day, in case you can't tell. Aunt Josephine. What is a very strange character that you just have to love? And there are two that I want to talk about. First of all, there's Luna Lovegood. I absolutely love Luna, and I can't believe people think she's strange in the wizarding world because she's actually the character I probably most relate to. She's so caring and she's constantly bullied, but she doesn't let that stop her from being who she is. She's so strong, she's so caring about everyone else, and I just absolutely love everything about her. And the other character I wanted to talk about was from the Wyrforra Wars series. His real name is Hadriel, but he slowly loses his mind after being in captivity for a while because he's claustrophobic, and it just eats away at him to the point where over time he slowly starts losing more and more of his sanity. And I love his character because it's so realistic in the way that it's done, and even though I'm not a mental health specialist and I don't really get to witness that kind of thing every day, I still feel like it was extremely realistic from my own point of view because it would happen to me if I was kept in captivity for that long. I feel like I would lose my mind in the same way that he did. Number 7, Justice Strauss. What is a character or book that had good intentions but didn't follow through? I'm going to talk again about the Wyrforra War series. I liked the first book, Wyrforra, but the second book, and I've given my review about it so you can see it on my channel, but the second book really fell flat to me. I liked the series, and I think that that second book is a good follow-up, but it's still not as good as the first one, and I feel like it could have been better executed, and some of the things that happened in the book just didn't make sense to me in the sense that it just didn't have to happen in order to advance the plot. It kind of just seemed thrown in there just for shock value. So I have to say that one had good intentions but didn't really follow through on it. And then another book that also follows that guide is I Am Alice, which I've also talked about in another video. I Am Alice is from the Spooks Apprentice series, and I just really wanted to see an entire book about Alice, and it just, even though it was an entire book about her, it just did not do her character justice, and I feel like it completely ruined her character for me, which is really sad because she was one of my favorites.
Anyway guys, this was a very miserable video to make. Here is a reel of all the thumbnails that I tried to make for this video. As I started doing this, the madness within ensued, a phrase which here means I acted like a silly goofball for the duration of making these. But anyway guys, I hope you had a wonderful time watching this and a wonderful weekend and space travels.